When I lived in Hollywood, I met this guy. His name is Steve, and he's in a band called Big Elf. We were supposed to get married. I was 20 in my 20s and just idolizing the fuck out of this guy because he was an amazing musician. He's incredible, and well, what happens when you idolize? You're gonna be sadly disappointed. But anyway, he moved me here because he's from here.
I've actually been in lots of different bands, mostly playing bass though. So this is I think the fourth band I've played guitar in.
Before Dahlia, I played in a band in the early 90s. That was called the Bad Trip Orchestra.
I at times wanted to go back to Hollywood because I couldn't believe I left my band for somebody that didn't really want to be with me. And you know what I mean? So I was a little scared living in Eugene, but then I went out after I left him and checked out a band, and it happens to be Joe, my bass player.
We go way back. I was in a band called Roy G. Biv, and she came and introduced herself, I think, pretty soon after she moved to town.
I walked in, I thought, well, maybe they might want to do some of my songs, and I gave them a tape, and I said, well, I'll sing backup for you.
Well, tell them what I said when I heard your CD.
Well, you tell them, and you said it.
She's like, so what'd you think? And I said, well, why do you want to play with us?
Isn't that sweet? Yeah. You know, and it was Clash of the Titans. It was awesome.
And she ended up being a backup singer, and I thought severely underutilized. We were working on a project together, and it looked like it was going to work out, and something happened, and we lost contact for a few years, and every now and then, you know, we'd see each other, and then she hooked up with Michael, and our paths started crossing again a little more. And Terry was like, I finally got a band together.
It was Gossamer. It was me, Jamie Davis, and this guy Bruce.
I filled in. Her bass player kind of, her previous bass player just kind of flaked on a radio show that they were going to do.
And then afterwards, you were just slyly hinting, gosh, Joe, I really wish that you could play in this band. And I turned to her and I said, well, all you got to do is ask.
Well, then there it is. And so I've been playing with him ever since, and I was friends with Sean back then, too.
And it's just one day he saw us play at Wetlands, and he came out and was like, you know, what do you think, guys?
And I was going like this.
Bang, right?
Terry Ann's voice just always has a visceral effect on me. I just love her voice, and I've always loved it, and I love singing with her. I guess you can really tell when we play together. We really enjoy the mesh.
Got noticed when I was in school, started taking vocal lessons for opera. When I became 16 and wanted to go drinking and hang out in this blues bar, they would make me go up on stage and sing the blues and improv, and so I got a taste at a young age of what this can really be, how it can be such an outlet for creativity, and it can be a spiritual experience, if you want to call it that.
I don't think it's a choice. I really don't. You know, I didn't wake up one day and decide, gee, I think I might try to play music. I had to. You know, before I had a guitar or anything like that, my parents had this little Russian ukulele thing. And, you know, I'd sit and pick it up all the time and, like, figure out Iron Man on it. It wasn't that I was like, oh, I got to pick this up so I can play, you know, learn to play music and become famous and get laid and all that kind of, you know, rock and roll mystique stuff. It was there and I just picked it up.
My dad played guitar. My mom has a story about when I was a baby, how they would line me in front of my dad's bass amp in his band, and I'd fall asleep in front of that. And we'd have, you know, rock and roll sing-alongs.
It's all my dad's fault. Anytime he wanted us to hear anything, and it'd be like the new AC/DC album or the new Led Zeppelin album, and just would punch it in, like as we're, you know, cleaning or whatever, or studying, and listen to this, and it'd just be loud. There's just always rock and roll music in my house. Always, always. Full-blown rock and roll, and there's nobody I grew up with that is not about rock and roll. Because it's Detroit Rock City.
I played drums for a little while. I used to be in the marching band, and then I moved to bass.
I got thrown out of drum class. Showed up in 7th or 8th grade. I remember showing up to drum class without a pass. Where's your pass? I don't have one. I just kind of snuck. Get out of here! And then the only other music I did in school was marching band. You know, a little 16-year-old skinny punk with arms the size as matchsticks trying to hold up a cymbal like a hi-hat, and then just going. I'm like, hey, you.
Jesus Christ, yeah. In Detroit early on in the 80s, oh yeah. I'd hear it all the time. Chicks don't belong in rock and roll. Chicks don't belong in rock and roll. I answered an ad once. I had to get really drunk for it, but I went to the practice with spandex on and a sausage in my pants because they didn't want chicks trying out as the lead singer. You know, girls have come a long way. It's hard to bitch and complain now, you know. But now that I think of it, when we were a trio, I had so much bullshit. But I got bullshit for being a girl, I did.
And girl guitar player.
Yeah.
Sassy's not the most technically proficient guitar player.
No, I picked
But
it
she's
up
got
like
a lot
a year
of fire
before
and
we
a lot
started.
of energy, and I knew from the beginning. I was like, keep going, girl. You're gonna, you've got the energy, and that's more important than any kind of chops. And once Sean asked to be in the band, and we
Then
brought
we got
him
more
in, then we're getting
polish.
more respect, and Sassy just come so far in the 2 years.
She didn't play guitar when I met her.
Yeah.
She just played flute.
Yeah,
Doing
flute,
Echoplex,
keyboards,
keyboards a little.
bazooki.
Yeah.